Good morning and assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. We are the group 5. We're going to discuss about the chapter 13 to 21 National Building Code of the Philippines. So we are the group 5. Now we'll start. Chapter 1, Electrical and Mechanical Regulation. Section 1301, Electrical Regulations. All electrical all electrical system equipment and installation mentioned in this code shall conform to the provision of the Philippine Electrical Code as adopted by the Board of Electrical Engineering pursuant to Republic Act number 184, otherwise known as the Electrical Engineering Laws. The primary objective of the code is to establish basic materials quality and electrical works standards for the safe use of electricity for light, heat, power, communications, signaling, and for other purposes. Inhibition against the practice of electrical engineering, unless exempt from registration, no person shall practice or offer to practice electrical engineering in the Philippines without having previously obtained certificate of registration from the Board of Electrical Engineering Examiners. So, so in this section, kailangan daw is you have the license or parang isa kang license na electrical engineering for you to practice electrical engineering field. So you should have license or registration and and electrical engineering examiners. So let's move on to the section 1302 mechanical regulation. So in section 1302 mechanical regulation is all mechanical systems equip installation mentioned in this code shall conform to the provision of the Philippine Mechanical Engineering Code as adopted by the Board of Mechanical Engineering pursuant to Commonwealth Act number 294 as method, otherwise known as the Mechanical Engineering Law. In this section, similar din sila dun sa section 1301 na electrical regulation. Kasi sa mechanical regulation din is kailangan din meron kang license or registration for examiner or lisensya ka na dapat for you to offer some practices about mechanical engineering field. So, kailangan may lisensya ka muna before you offer mechanical engineering. The PSME is tasked to safeguard the people by all means in compliance with the National Building Code of the Philippines, specifically Section 102, Declaration of Policy in Chapter 13, Section 1302, which is the Mechanical Regulation Code of Mechanical Engineering Ethics in the Philippines. Pursuant to Section 9 Commonwealth Act number 294 as amended, otherwise known as the Mechanical Engineering Law, this Code of Mechanical Engineering Ethics is hereby adopted by the Board of Mechanical Engineering as part of the rules and regulations governing the practice of general mechanical engineering. General principle.
Good day and Assalamualaikum. I am Muhammad Siddiq Makarao from the Group 5 Section B. And for today, I was assigned to discuss about the Chapter 14 of the National Building Code of the Philippines. Chapter 14, Photographic and X-ray Film. Chapter 14 is composed of three sections, but before I discuss the section, let me define first what is photographic and X-ray film. Siguro naman lahat tayo familiar or maybe yung iba sa atin nakahawag na ng photographic film or the X-ray film, right? So, let us define what is photographic film. The definition of photographic film is a strip or sheet of transparent film base coated on one side with a gelatin emulsion containing microscopically small light sensitive and silver halide crystal. Ang photographic film ay isa siyang strip o sheet ng transparent film base na pinahiran sa gilid ng isang gelatin emulsion containing microscopically small light sensitive silver halide crystal. So, ito yung itsura ng photographic film. So, the X-ray film naman, ang X-ray film ay isang base ng polyester na merong gelatin emulsion coating sa magkabilang panig ng film na naglalaman rin ng silver halide crystals, same with the photographic film, that is sensitive for visible light, X-ray, gamma ray, heat, moisture at pressure. Ang X-ray film ay hindi dapat gamitin kung luma na dahil maaari itong mag-fog or yung malalagyan ng abo na siyang nagiging dahilan para di ma-clear yung photos na isushoot natin doon sa film. This is what the X-ray film looks like. Now let us proceed to the section 1401, which is the storage and handling of chapter 14. In this section, ang dinidiscuss dito ay yung mga tamang pagkeep o pagtago tsaka paghawak ng mga ng photographic film and the X-ray film. In letter A, storage room of unexposed photographic and X-ray film shall be provided with automatic fire extinguishing system in the following cases. In letter A, yung storage room daw para sa mga unexposed photographic and X-ray film ay kailangan gi-provide ng automatic fire extinguishing system sa pamamagitan ng mga case na ito. First is yung mga unexposed film ay dapat yung lalagyan pag ipapadala ito ay dapat nasa kabuuang 40.00 cubic meters para safety ang mga films or para walang masira. On the second, yung individual packages ng mga film na hindi kasama doon sa safety shipping container ay dapat lagpas sa 1.40 cubic meters. On the number 3, hindi daw acceptable sa kahit anong section sa chapter na ito. The storage of the shipping container is hindi lalagpas sa 14.00 cubic meters. On the letter B, film negatives in storage or in process of handling shall be kept in heavy manila envelopes not exceeding 12 films to an envelope. Expanding envelope shall not be used. In letter In the letter B, yung mga film daw na kinuha sa lalagyan nito ay dapat itong ilagay sa envelopes. Ganito yung itsura ng envelopes. Ito siya, heavy Manila envelopes. Tsaka in every one envelope dapat hindi lalagpas sa 12 films yung nakalagay. And letter C naman, yung mga film na nilagay sa envelope na yun ay dapat itago or i-keep yun ng maayos sa insulated vented cabinets, vintage storage vault, or outside storage houses. Ito yung tinatawag na vented storage vault. Tsaka ito naman yung insulated vented cabinets. Dapat in every cabinet na hindi lalagpas sa 110 kilograms na film ang ilalagay. Pag ang ilalagay na films ay lagpas sa 450 kilogram, dapat itong ilagay sa vintage storage vault, which is yung pinakita ko sa inyo kanina na picture. And then kapag bubuksan mo ang cabinet na, make sure malayo ito sa apoy. And you should keep it closed when it is in use. When it is not in use. In letter D naman, only incandescent electric light shall be permitted, protected with substantial wire guards or buffer-proof gloves or both. Conspicuous no smoking shall be posted. In letter D naman, only incandescent electric light lang daw ang pwede. Tsaka, dapat maglagay ng signboard na may nakasulat na no smoking area. Then, in letter E, ang films ay dapat nakastore in a place near from the source. In letter E, no film shall be stored within 600 mm of steam pipes, chimney, or other sources of heat. It means, ang pag-store daw ng films ay dapat malayo sa source of heat. Then, letter F, there shall be first aid provision of types using water or water solution. Discarded films shall be stored and handled in the same manners as the other films until removed the premises. And letter F naman, there shall be first aid provision of types using water or water solution. Saka yung mga discarded na films ay hindi dapat itapon kung saan-saan. Kailangan din itong itago until remove the premises. Now let us now proceed to the section 1402 of the chapter 14, which is the classes of film exempted. Letter A, the provision of this section do not apply to the following. Sa letter E daw, ang provision of section na ito is not acceptable to the film for amateur photographic, safety film, dental X-ray, film establishment, manufacturing photographic film, and film used in standard motion picture boards. And letter B, of this section 1402, the safety photographic X-ray film ay makikita or ma-identify natin based on the marking on the edge of the film. And lastly, on the section 1403 of the chapter 14, which is extinguishing system, unless otherwise provided in this code, all fire extinguishing system, when so required, shall be of a type, specification, and methods of installation as prescribed in accordance with the requirement of the Secretary. Means, uh, lahat daw ng fire extinguishing system, kapag ito ay kailangan, dapat it should be of a type, specification, and method of installation as na pinapahintulutan or in accordance with the requirement of the Secretary. And that's all for the chapter 14 of the National Building Code of the Philippines.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. By the way, I am Farhana Ulama Musa from Group 5. So I was assigned to discuss about the chapter 16 in the National Building Code, PD 1096. So plastics. Section 16.1 approved plastic. So approved plastic material shall be those which have a flame spread rating of 225 or less than and a smoke density not greater than that obtained from the burning of untreated wood under similar condition when tested in accordance with generally accepted engineering projects. The products of combustion shall be no more toxic than the burning of untreated wood under similar conditions. In this section, it talks about plastics and how plastics are approved for building constructions. For instance, of plastics used for building constructions are acrylic, composites, expanded polystyrene, polycarbonate, and in others. So, section 1602 installation. Structural requirements of plastic material shall be of adequate strength and durability to withstand the prescribed design loads. Sufficient and substantial technical data shall be submitted to establish stresses, maximum unsupported spans, and such other information as may be deemed necessary for the various techniques and forms used. So, letter B, the fastenings. Fastenings shall be adequate to withstand design loads and internal and external stresses required of the assembly. Proper allowances of plastic materials in conjunctions with other materials with which it is assembled or integrated shall be provided. Kung baga yung gagamiting fastenings is kailangan is naka-stand ng maayos sa kung yung internal and external. So, section 1603, glazing of openings. Letter A, doors, chassis, and frame openings in exterior walls of all buildings except types 4 and 5 construction may be glazed or equipped with approved plastics, provided that the wall in which such glazing is installed is so located that openings are not required to be fire protected. So, number 2, except for type 1 constructions, the location, size, and spacing of such glaze opening do not exceed the values set forth by the Secretary. Number 3 is plastics used in glazed openings for type 2 constructions shall be materials appropriate for use according to flame spread characteristics and the location, size, and spacing of the openings do not exceed the values set forth by the Secretary. So the section 1604 skylights. Letter A, general. Approved plastics may be used in skylights installed on roofs of types 1, 2, or 3 construction in all buildings in this category shall be equipped with an approved automatic fire extinguishing system in groups A, B, C, D, G, H3, and H4 occupancies, except that upper plastics may be used in any type of construction occupancy as a fire venting system when approved by the building official. Number 2 is plastic may be used in approved skylights in type 2, 1 or 5 fire resistive construction which are located 300 millimeters or more above the lower planes of the ceiling. The walls, the skylight will shall be no less fire resistive than the adjacent ceiling. The number 3 where fire resistant ceiling is not required in one-story buildings, approved plastic may be used in skylights. Kung hindi required yung fire resistant ceiling na hindi sa isang story buildings is kailangan sa gamitin yung plastic into skylights. Letter B, the installation requirements, except in Group A occupancies, no skylight shall be installed within 3 meters of a property line. Kailangan yung kailangan walang skylight na naka-install within 3 meters in a property line. So, number 2, the edges of the tile skylight shall be properly flushed. The plastic skylight shall be separated from each other by at least 2.50 meters, literally in 3 meters along the slope of the roof. So, yung skylights na plastic skylights na ilalagay in one-story building is kailangan naka-separate sila into 2.50 meters or 3 meters along the slope of the roof. Kailangan hindi magkadikit sa slope roof. Letter C, allowable areas. The area of individual plastic skylight shall not exceed 10 square meters. The total aggregate area of plastic used in skylights, monitors, in glazing shall not exceed 20% of the floor area of the room or occupancy. So, third. So, yung ilalagay na plastic skylights in a story building, kailangan hindi 10 square meters. So, letter D, the curve requirements, plastic skylights in roofs having a slope of less than 1 in 3 shall have 100 meters high curve. The curve may be omitted where a wire screen not smaller than number 12 US with a mesh not larger than 25 millimeters is provided immediately below the skylight. So the screen shall be substantially mounted below the skylight. Section 16, 05, light transmitting panels and monitors in Southwood roofs. So, the letter A, general, where a fire resistive rating is not required for the roof structure and in all buildings provided with an approved automatic fire extinguishing system. Approved plastics may be used with or without charge as the light transmitting medium in monitors in Southwood, except that plastics used in monitors or Southwood roofs of type 2 construction shall be of materials appropriate to be used according to flame spray characteristics. So, letter B, allowable areas. The area of individual plastic glazing used in monitors glazing shall not exceed 15 square meters. The total aggregate area of plastic used in skylights, monitors, in walls glazing shall not exceed 20% of the floor area of the room or occupancy. sheltered. Yung allowable areas na lalagyan lang ng uh, glazing is 15 square meters. So, letter C, area separation. The area of such plastic panel shall be separated from each other by a section of a combustible material or by a section of the roofing material of the structure not less than 1.50 meters in length. The lower edge of the plastic material shall be at least 150 millimeters above the surface of the adjoining roof space. Yung yung area separation ng paglagay ng plastic panels kailangan is nakahiwalay sila in 1.50 meters ang taas. Yung pinaka lower edge ng plastic materials at least 150 millimeters above the surface of adjoining roof surface. So, Section 1606, Plastic Light Diffusers in Ceilings. So, the general ceiling light diffusers having an area greater than 10% of any 10 square meters of room area shall be of approved plastic conforming to the requirements specified in this code. Installation plastic light diffuser shall be installed in such a manner that they will not readily become detached when subjected to room temperature. So, yung pag-install ng plastic light diffusers, kailangan hindi naka-detach kung saan mo ilalagay yung doon sa room temperature na 80 Celsius for 15 minutes. Except for plastic light diffusers which are installed in the first floor area of group C, occupancies having access directly to the exterior of the building, and plastic light diffuser which are located between an approved automatic fire extinguishing system in the area to be protected other than public corridors for group A, B, C, D, E, G, H, and I occupancies if tests required by the Secretary have established that such installation will not interfere with the efficient operation of such automatic fire extinguishing systems. So, Section 1607, Partitions. Where partitions are not required to be of fire-resistant or incombustible constructions, approved plastic conforming to the requirements specified in this code may be used. Yung paglagay ng partitions sa isang story buildings, kailangan is hindi siya required na fire-resistant or incombustible constructions. Kailangan lang yung ilalagay mo na plastics is approved plastics by the National Building Code PD 1096. So, Section 1608, Exterior Veneer. General exterior veneer may be approved plastic materials and shall conform to the provisions of this section. So, yung height ng exterior veneer, plastic veneer shall not be attached to any exterior wall above the first story. Kailangan yung taas or yung height ng plastic veneer is hindi naka-attach sa any exterior na wall above sa first story of your building. Provided that plastic veneer may be attached to exterior walls above the first story of buildings. Yung plastic veneer is kailangan doon siya naka-attach sa exterior walls of the first story ng story buildings mo. First story ng buildings mo located outside of highly restrictive fire zones. So, provided further that the height of veneer is not, yung height or taas ng veneer is hindi siya mag-e-excess ng 10 meters above the adjacent grade of elevation. So, kailangan yung paglagay mo ng plastic veneer hindi siya ma-attach sa exterior walls mo sa first story. So, Letter C is area. Sections of plastic veneer shall not exceed 15 square meters in area, except that in less than restrictive fire zone, the area may be increased.
Section 1801, General Requirements. May tatlo itong kailangan gawin. So, una, ang chapter na ito ay sa mga exterior glass at glazing sa lahat ng occupancies maliban na lang sa A, B, J occupancies na hindi lumalagpas sa tatlong haligi sa taas at sa mga interior and exterior glasses kasama ang mga glazing sa lahat ng occupancies. Pangalawa, yung standard para sa mga material dapat na ayon sa kondisyon na ibinibigay ng secretary. On glass dimensional tolerance, breaking stress level, and design safety. Ganun yung mga example. Design safety factors. Yung example. Para mas malalong maging matibay ang glass na gagawin. Pangatlo, ang bawat produkto ay dapat naglalaman ng isang manufacture level at kung anong klase ng klase at gaano kakapal ang isang glass. Dapat din nakasaad doon kung ito ba ay laminated, heat strength, fully tempered, or isolated. So, dapat nakalagay doon lahat kapag gagawin yon. So, ito nga pala yung general requirements. Ito yung example ko. Section 1802, area lamination. Ang exterior glass at glazing ay dapat kayang makatagal o makatiis laban sa wind pressure sa iba't ibang level ng kataasan nyo. Magmula man sa hangin sa loob o labas. And ang area of individual lights ay hindi dapat makalagpas sa maximum allowable area of glass ayon sa wind load multiplied by the appropriate adjustment factor. So, ito nga pala yung area lamination example. Section 1803, glazing and glazing. Ang glass ay dapat may suporta sa bawat apat na sulok nito and shall be glazed with minimum lapse and edge clearance na naayon sa section 1801 kanina. And dapat ang glass edge ay clearance sa kung saan ito binubuksan ay hindi lumalagpas sa kung ano ang mailalaban nito sa hangin at lindol. Suportado sa apat na sulok nito ay dapat magpasa ng approval sa building official. This is example of glazing. Ito yung glazing. Section 1804, lowered windows. Ang bawat isa sa jealousy ay hindi dapat mas manipis pa sa 5.6 mm at hindi mas mataas sa 1.20 mm. Ang glass edge na naka-expose ay dapat maging smooth para iwas aksidente. So, ito yung example ng lowered windows. Ito yung mga jealousy. Section 1805, impact. Frameless glass doors, glass indoors, fixed glass panels, and similar glaze. Openings na maaaring aksidenteng masira ng tao ay dapat tumayon sa requirements na binigay ng secretary on impact loads of glass. Maliban na lang sa mga tatlong ito, sa bathtub and shower enclosure ay dapat ginawa ayon sa improved shatter-resistant materials, such as wire-reinforced glass na hindi bababa sa 5.6 millimeters na kapal, at fully tempered glass na hindi lalagpas sa 4.8 millimeters na kapal or laminated safely glass na hindi sa 6.4 millimeters na kapal. Pangalawa ay ang glass lights na nakalagay sa hindi lalagpas na 450 mm sa taas ng kapalit ng isang finished floor o walking surface. Ang pangatlo ay glass lights na may 450 mm na least dimension. Pangapat pala ay glass lights na 1.50 square meters o mas maliit pa dun. So, ito yung example ko sa impact. Ito yung mini nila.
Hello everyone, I am Sana Mamarinta Party and this is CE232E Building System Design. And for this video, I will discuss signs. So ano nga ba yung signs? Signs or signboard is yan yung makikita natin sa gilid ng kalsada. Hindi lang sa kalsada kasi makita rin natin yan sa mga buildings. Section 2001 General Requirements. No sign or signboard shall be erected in such a manner as to confuse or obstruct the view or interpretation of any official traffic sign, signal, and device. Ang minimum dito ay walang sign or signboard na pwede ilagay o itayo na pwede makahadlang sa mga traffic signs or signals. Ang example ng traffic signs ay yung no parking, pedestrian crossing sign, do not enter at marami pang iba. No sign or signboard shall be constructed as to unduly obstruct the natural view of the landscape, distract or obstruct the view of the public as to constitute a traffic hazard or otherwise defile, debase, or offend aesthetic and cultural values and tradition. Bawal rin po magpatayo ng sign or signboard na pwede makuha yung attention ng drivers kasi ma-interpret siya at makakaabala siya ng ibang drivers at hindi lang makakaabala kasi pwede rin siya madisgrasya sa ganong paraan. Section 2002 Maintenance. All signs together with all of their supports, braces, guides, and anchors should be kept in repair in proper state of preservation. The display of all signs shall be kept neatly painted and secured at all times. Kung magpapatayo man kayo ng signs or signboard, dapat malinis at klaro yung nasa signboard at syempre dapat secure din yung pinatayo yung signboard para hindi masira at baka makadisgrasya pa kayo ng ibang tao. Section 2003 Design and Construction. Sign structure shall be designed and constructed to resist all forces in accordance with the National Structural Code for Buildings. For signs on buildings, the dead lateral loads shall be transmitted through the structural frame of the building to the ground in such a manner as not to overstress any of the elements of the building. The weight of earth superimposed over footings may be used in determining the dead load resisting moment. Such earth shall be carefully placed and thoroughly compact. Sa pag-design at pag-construct ng isang building ay dapat may mga signs ito para malaman nung magko-construct at magdi-design ng building kung ano yung dapat nila gawin at sa pinapatayo nilang building at para secure din yung mga taong nagko-construct. At para malaman rin natin kung ano meron sa area mismo na pinatayuan ng building. Section 2004 support metal na pwedeng masunog yung ibang signboard, and we need to prepare always sa possible na sunog. Non-structural trim. Non-structural trim and portable display surfaces may be of wood, metal, approved plastic, or any combination thereof. So, yung mga non-structural trim and portable display is pwedeng gawa sa kahoy, metal, or plastic, and madali lang din sila masunog. Display surfaces. Display surfaces in all types of signs may be made of metal, glass, or approved plastics. Sa display surfaces naman is pwedeng gawa sa metal, glass, or plastics. Section 2005, Projections and Clearances. Clearances from high voltage power lines. Clearances of signs from high voltage power lines shall be in accordance with the Philippine Electrical Code. So, syempre, sa voltage power line ay dapat talagang naka-alinsunod ka sa Philippine Electrical Code kasi alam nila kung paano yan iproseso, at kung ikaw ay isang civilian at walang knowledge about sa pagpapatay ng voltage power lines, wag mo na gawin kasi baka madisgrasya ka pa. Clearance from fire escapes, exits, or standpipes. No signs or sign structure shall be erected in such a manner that any portion of its surface or supports will interfere in any way with the free use of any fire escapes, exit, or standpipe. Sa isang building or anuman na may fire escapes, exit, and standpipe is huwag kayong maglalagay ng ibang signs or signboard doon sa exit sign kasi pwedeng malito yung mga taong dadaan sa exit na yon. Obstruct of opening. No sign shall be obstruct any opening to such an extent that light or ventilation is reduced to a point below that required by this code. Signs erected within 1.5 meters of any exterior wall in which there are openings within the area of the sign shall be constructed of incombustible material or approved plastics. Walang signs na pwedeng makahadlang sa may mga opening area like daanan, window, kasi makakahadlang ka lang ng ibang tao. Projection over alleys.
Hi again, I am Gina Junara Ismael. I'm going to report the Chapter 21, Transitory and Final Provision. Okay, in this chapter, this transitory and final provision is, ito yung pansamantala and final na provisions ng National Code of the Philippines. So, let's start with the Section 2101, Existing Building and Structure. All buildings or structures constructed under RA 6541 or existing city or municipal building codes or ordinance, if legally done in accordance therewith, shall be respected subject to such limitation and establishment in this code. However, alterations, additions, conversions, and or repairs to be made in such buildings or structures shall be subject to the provision of this code. So, in this chapter, the scope of Republic Act No. 6541 include designs, location, settings, construction, alteration, repair, conversion, use, occupancy, maintenance, moving, and demolition of both private and public building. It is hereby declared to be the policy of the state to safeguard life, health, property, and public welfare, consist with the principles of environmental management and control, and to this end make it the purpose of this code to provide for all buildings and structured and structured. Let's move on to the section 2102, interim rules and regulation. So when you say interim, it means pansamantala. It's similar to the transitory. So in this section, interim rules and regulation on buildings promulgated by the Secretary before the adoption of this code pursuant to existing laws or decrees shall continue to have binding force and effect when not in conflict with the provision of this code. So, for purpose of carrying out the provision of this code, the Secretary shall exercise the following general power and functions: formulate policies, plans, standards, and guidelines on building design, construction, use, occupancies, and maintenance in accordance and this code. So, with regards to section 2102, the interim rules, mayroon tayong dito na question na what are the duties and responsibilities of the Secretary of DPWH in accordance to NBC. For purposes of carrying out the provision of this code, the Secretary shall exercise the following general powers and functions, just like what I've said earlier. So, kailangan ang general powers and function na yun is yung formulate policies, plans, standards, and guidelines on building design, construction, use, occupancy, and maintenance. So, yun lang yung nakalagay sa section 2102 interim rules. So, let's move on to the section 2103, separability clause. So, in this section, if any provision of this decree or the application thereof is to any person or circumstance declared unconstitutional or invalid for any reason, the same shall not affect the validity of the other provisions. Separability clause: if any provision of this act is declared invalid or unconstitutional, the other provision not affected thereby shall remain valid and subsisting. It also provides an effect that if any part of a bill is held unconstitutional, the remainder shall not be affected. So, yun nga, parang sa separability, it is capable of being separated or disassociated separable parts. Kung yung isang bill na yun ay parang di siya katanggap-tanggap, na pwede siyang pwede siyang tanggalin without the other bill. So, the purpose of severability clause is to deal with the potentially unenforceable or illegal provision in an agreement, and in general to sever such a provision while keeping the remainder of the agreement in act and effect. So, yun lang po yung sa section 2103 or separability clause. Let's move on to the section 2104, repealing clause. Repealing means pagwawalang bahala or it's similar to the pag-cancel ng clause na yun. So, excuse me. All laws, decrees, provision of the chapters, executive orders, ordinance, and rules and regulation of parts thereof contrary to or inconsistent with the provision of this decree are hereby repealed, amended, or modified accordingly. So in this section, all laws, decrees, orders, resolution, instructions, and rules and regulation or parts thereof which are inconsistent with this act are hereby deemed repealed or modified accordingly. The effect of the repeal is to obliterate the statutes repealed as completely as if it had never been passed. and it must be considered as a law which never existed except for the purpose of those actions or suits which were commenced, prosecuted, and concluded while it was an existing law. Laws are repealed only by subsequent ones, and their violation or non-observance shall not be excused by disuse or custom or practice to the contrary. When the court declare a law to be inconsistent with the Constitution, the former shall be void and the latter shall govern. So that's all for the repealing clause section 2105 effectivity. This decree shall take effect upon its promulgation done in the city of Manila this 19th day of February in the year of our Lord 1977. This is signed by the President Republic of the Philippines, signed, sealed, and delivered by Ferdinand E. Marcos. Then also it's signed by it is signed, sealed, delivered by the Juan C. Tavera, Presidential Assistant, and signed, sealed, delivered by Mr. De La Cruz Ceso II, Presidential Staff Director, Malacanang Records Section. So that's all for the chapter 21 of the National Code, Building National Code of the Philippines. Thank you.